Hey guys, so this is our word study for Wednesday, April 14th. We're actually going to be learning a new root this today for word study, but it's going to be kind of similar to what we've been doing the last couple of weeks on word study, where we're adding another root to our index card that we're already working with. So it's going to be another root that means foot or feet. So keep that in mind as we're going through these. It says, what is the girl standing behind as she does her presentation? So we're really looking at this object. What is that called? Um, I want you to think about maybe there's one on this stage in the cafeteria that when we used to be able to have assemblies all together, the principal or whoever was speaking usually stood behind it. And that's called a podium. I want you to think about how does that fit with foot or feet? What are they having? They are presenting, but there are a couple different ways that we can present things. And in this case, they're standing on their feet in order to present this, to present in front of people. So it's kind of how feet goes with podium. Erase that. So remember, if we were syllabicating, we would find our root. So we haven't really talked about what it is this yet, but and then do you remember the name for this multi-legged robot? So we talked when we looked at hex and sext, we talked about this robot, and we were looking at how many legs that this robot had. So this was called a hexapod, and it was because this robot had 6 legs. So if we were thinking about our roots, if we were syllabicating this one, it would be a little bit even easier than the last one because we have a root here and we have a root here. So a hexapod, something that has 6 legs. Insects are often only the only objects maybe that we know or commonly see that have 6 legs. Otherwise, most things have 8, 4, or 2. So hexapod. All right, let's see. And then slugs, snails, and limpets use their one-piece muscular body to move. What are these mollusks called? So they use their one-piece muscular body to move, but their organs kind of all go together. It's not probably a it's not even a word that I would probably really use if I was describing these creatures. But they can also be called gastropods. Um, some of you may have had like maybe moms or dads or grandpas, grandmas, aunts, uncles, somebody may have had to have a surgery and they go to see somebody called a gastroenterologist. So gastric means stomach. So someone like a gastroenterologist studies the stomach. But a gastropod it means gastro means stomach. So there's 2 roots, and you might be thinking, how does that relate with a snail or a slug? But the snail or the stomach is a muscle, right? So the stomach moves your food, and these creatures move themselves with their whole body, which is a muscle. So when you look at the picture, maybe the middle of the body of the snail or the slug, like this part or this part, kind of reminds you of this. Now the mollusks are a little bit harder to see because they have that hard outer shell, but they do have gastropods, so they're moving with their stomach. So let's take a look at. So, do you notice any similarities between a gastropod and a human stomach? This kind of goes back to what I was just talking about. When you're looking at the snail or the slug, look at the formation of this stomach. That's our stomach. That would be like if we could take an X-ray of the inside of our body, and then take a look at maybe really what the snail looks like. So they're gastropods because they're made of that whole muscle that makes them move. Um, the stomach is a muscle. It takes All right, it said, how fast does our body or digestive system move food? And how does it compare to the speed that the gastropod moves? So think about a snail. Think about what you think of as a snail, how quickly a snail moves. Think about how fast you in your mind, how quickly do you think a snail moves? Most of you are probably laughing and saying they move really slow. So a gastropod moves slowly, kind of like the food in our stomach. So it takes about 6 to 8 hours for food to digest in your bodies. And you're as a child, it takes that long. So sometimes adults, it slows down even further. Like it takes longer for adults to digest food sometimes, or sometimes they can do it faster. So gastropods, they're moving with their stomach, so kind of like their stomach is their foot, kind of, for the gastropods. So what is the same in all three of these words? Podium, gastropod, and hexapod. Hopefully you notice that pod is the same in all three of those words. And pod also means foot. So when we come back to school tomorrow, we're going to add pod to the front of our index card. And then we'll add some of those words to the back of our index card as well. So I hope you guys learned something new today, because the gastropod was kind of an interesting little piece. But can't wait to see you guys back at school tomorrow. Have a great day of digital learning.